Welcome to our video guide. I'm Elle and I'm going to be talking you through one of our Understanding Diversity Data tools. This video guide focuses on understanding your internal diversity data. Also in the toolkit are tools on benchmarking your data, creating dashboards, and understanding external diversity data. In this video guide, we'll be covering cross-referencing your data, including what we mean by cross-referencing to understand the consistency of your diversity data, and cross-referencing to understand what's driving your diversity data. Okay, let's start with what we mean by cross-referencing. So you've now collected your internal diversity data, and you'll have an overall picture of the diversity of your volunteers and employees. But you'll want to know whether that picture is consistent across all levels and departments or divisions, and then what's driving that diversity. That means looking at the relationship between your diversity data and other people data you hold, such as how many people join or leave your organisation. Only then will you be able to understand the specific barriers to diversity that are in place in your organisation and how you can address them. So what do you need to cross-reference against? To start with, you need to look at the consistency of your diversity data to understand whether there are pockets of your organisation that are more or less diverse and what you can learn from them, including division or organisational department. This will help you understand whether some divisions are more or less diverse, and then you can explore what's driving those differences. For example, one division may be hiring more diversity because they're using a different job platform. You'll also need to look at the diversity of different levels or seniority of your organisation. You can look at this by grade, but it may be easier to start by looking at leadership, management, and individual diversity. This is really important because often diversity decreases as seniority increases. And you'll want to understand whether this is the case in your organisation, and if so, at what point your diversity starts to decrease, and if that's consistent across all your divisions and all your diversity groups. Okay, now you'll have an understanding of the consistency of your diversity statistics. You'll want to understand what's driving that diversity. So you'll want to cross-reference your organisation-wide diversity data and your divisional diversity data by recruitment, promotions, people who leave, performance, learning and development, parental leave, flexible work patterns, and sick leave. Let's take a look at those in closer detail. For recruitment, you'll want to look at the diversity of applications received, interviews completed, assessments passed, roles offered, and roles accepted or new starters. This will tell you if you're not attracting diversity, or if you are attracting diversity and there's bias in your recruitment process, or if your organisation doesn't come across as inclusive during the recruitment process, and so people from different backgrounds just don't want to join you. Promotions is an important one, but we often hear organisations say that they don't have promotions data. You probably do. All you need to do is look at the diversity of roles filled by internal candidates and whether those candidates have progressed to a more senior role. That way you can understand whether there is bias in your internal recruitment or promotions processes, and therefore bias in what you consider talent to look like. That brings us nicely onto performance. If you don't have a performance management process, we can help you with that. See our culture development toolkit. If you do, you'll want to look at the diversity of each of your performance grades. If you have a certain diversity group that isn't performing as well as others, it tells you that either you have bias in your performance process or how that process is implemented, or that you have something in your culture that is affecting the performance of those people, it does not tell you that those people aren't as talented as others. Another thing that may be contributing to performance is learning uptake. Cross-referencing your diversity data by your learning uptake will help you understand whether your learning is equally as accessible for different types of people, whether the learning outcomes are meeting the needs of all your people, and whether different diversity groups are being encouraged to learn and develop more than others. All of those things relate not just to performance, but also to people's engagement, their likelihood of staying with the organisation, and their feeling of inclusion. Okay, now let's look at parental leave. You'll want to understand the diversity of people who take different kinds of leave. For example, adoption, paternity, maternity, and shared parental leave. The percentage of people who return from that leave. For example, do a low percentage of women return from maternity leave? And how long they stay after their parental leave. This will help you understand if your policies are inclusive for different kinds of parents, and if you have an inclusive culture for all types of parents, when on leave and when they return. Flexible working patterns are an important element in retaining people from different diversity backgrounds. So it's helpful to understand the diversity of people who put in flexible and home working requests, and who have their flexible and home working requests approved. Of course, there are different types of roles that are more adaptable to flexible and home working, but this data will help you understand if certain kinds of people are less likely to have approved flexible working requests, and therefore if you have a culture of distrust towards certain groups of people. Finally, you should cross-reference your diversity data by your sick leave data to understand if some diversity groups are taking more sick leave than others, and if they are taking different types of sick leave, such as stress-related leave. This doesn't mean those people are more prone to illness, but that something about your culture is affecting their health and engagement. We know it feels like a lot of data to digest, but understanding all of this data will help you understand what's driving your diversity and create an action plan that works specifically for you. And don't forget, you can use our template dashboards to help you make the data more digestible. Plus, the next video guide in this series provides examples of cross-reference data to help you understand what your data may be telling you, and additional areas to explore to help you remove barriers to diversity. Head back to Charity Culture Catalyst for the next steps in your diversity data journey.